Someone asked me, what is the core difference between me when I was $16,000 in debt to now me with a net worth of over $40 million? Well, I sat down and wrote on a piece of paper 17 mindset shifts that I've made over the years that helped contribute to that transformation. I'm going to walk you through those 17 mindset shifts and how they helped me at each stage of my life here in this video and on this podcast. Back in 2007, right after I graduated college in 2006, I'd already owned a rental property by that time. I've explained it in this episode before, in these podcasts before, kind of how I landed that first property. But that year, I had an aim to go out there and start a business. The problem was at the end of that year, I was negative $16,000 in credit card debt. I was questioning whether I should continue going, trying to make it as an entrepreneur. And I was wondering, what is it that the people that seem like they've got this figured out, what have they done? Right? What have they changed? How do they think? What do I need to change? And fast forward now today, almost 20 years, I had the perspective, having grown through the struggles to make your first dollar, to make your first $100,000 a year, to have that first $1 million year, to have that first $1 million month, and then to really be around the people who are even worth in the nine figures. And I've started to condense down, if I had to do it all over again, what advice would I give myself as a young 20-something-year-old kid? Okay, so I'm going to break it down right here. The first phase is negative $16,000 net worth to making my first $100,000. Okay, getting that debt paid off and making it past the hump of just the struggle bus of getting things going. The first concept that I latched onto, and I didn't learn this from anybody. I kind of dove in and said, if I'm going to give this a try, I've got to give it a try. Is something I call the 12-month contract. Okay. Right out of the gates, when I graduated college, I said, I'm not going to quit for 12 full months. And I created a 12-month contract with myself. I said, I'm going to move to Portland and I'm not going to quit, not even an option to quit before 12 months. And then I'll reevaluate. Now, why is that? Because it's way too easy for us, if we have a plan B, or if we haven't planted the stake in the ground to say, I will not quit. There's no possible way I'm going to quit. It's way too easy for us to go back into what's comfortable, to go back into the thing that we already know, to go back into going to get a job or whatever it is that we're trying to run away from. Okay. So the first mindset shift is setting a 12-month contract with yourself. Now, I still do this today. Every single year, even though, I'm an 8-figure entrepreneur now, I still set a 12-month contract. Anytime I'm looking to start something new or moving into the new year, I say, am I ready to sign up for 12 months of focus on this? Am I ready to sign up for another 12 months to really drive this to the next phase? If the answer is no, and I'm not convicted, then I'll be open to exploring, okay, what shifts do I want to make that will help me get closer to my life's vision? So that's number one, guys, 12-month contract. I stepped into it with no plan B for 12 full months. At the end of that year, the cool thing is everything didn't unlock, but I was getting really good momentum. I felt like giving up 6 times, 7 times, 10 times during that year, but I didn't, because I'd pre-decided and made that commitment. Okay. So the second mindset shift is, as I was getting to the end of that first year and a half, let's say even 2 years to make that first $100,000, as I was second guessing myself, as I was wondering, man, should I keep doing this? Is the thing that got me to keep stepping forward was something I call flipping your risk profile. Okay. So that's the second concept, is I flipped my risk profile. I started to talk to my friends from college who had these really good jobs, paying out of college. They were making $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year out of college in the medical field or as engineers. And we would have conversations. They had brand new trucks. I was in debt. I could barely pay my rent. And they would say, hey, what are you up to? Like, what are you doing? I would try to explain what I was doing, and they could never understand it because I was making no money. I had no extra money to go spend anything, let alone pay my rent. Everything went on credit cards, including my taxes that year. So what I did, though, is I really looked at their lives and I would ask them questions. I'm like, where do you see yourselves in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years? And I would see my friends and family who I know who have been in the same jobs for decades. And I go, I don't want that. I don't want that. And if I go get a job, I'm guaranteed to go down that path. I'm guaranteed to go down a path of working for someone else for decades and having a high likelihood that I will not be able to accomplish what I think I want to accomplish in this life. And I'm going to have this ceiling, this cap that's forever going to be held over the top of me. Okay. So I started to look at it as higher risk to actually not take a chance on myself than taking a chance on myself. Where most people think that the risk is in taking the chance. Oh my gosh, if I leave my job and take this chance, what will happen? Instead, I actually recognized for myself, I said, no, the real risk is in the 100% guaranteed chance that if I don't take this chance, I go get the job, that this life that I don't want will happen. It's 100% guaranteed. Okay. So I said, that's where the risk is. This is where the opportunity is. Okay. And then I pull back and go, what's the worst case scenario? Worst case scenario, if this thing doesn't work, is I maybe don't pay my rent for a few months and they either evict me or they don't. And then I go get a job. I go get a job at Nike, or I go get a job somewhere else making $40,000 a year. That's the worst case scenario, right? And it might take me a year to pay that debt back. That was the worst case scenario. I'm like, man, that's pretty good. If that's the worst case scenario on this end, and the likely, if not guaranteed scenario on the other end is the life that I don't want and be in a corporate position or job forever, I'm like, dude, that's what I'm running away from. So concept number 2, flip that risk profile. Number 3, guys, is I was struggling to make money in that first year. I was selling, I was trying to offer services, I was trying to do things to get something for myself. And the second that I flipped it around, I said, you know what, this already isn't working. What if I just start giving things away for free? What if I just learn and use this as an opportunity to learn rather than to sell? And I would take the things I was doing on the marketing side. I would email people and give them free diagnoses of their website from the SEO perspective. This is back in 2007, y'all. Okay. I would give them free diagnoses of their website. And I would say, hey, here's some things you should do. Just send them to your web person and have them take care of them for you. And what would happen is most of the people took it. They would thank me for it because they didn't see me as selling them anything. And then many of them reached back to me and said, hey, I don't really have anyone who could do this for me. Do you know somebody, or can you do it myself? And I got 2 customers out of that with 6 months of pitching contracts and pitching proposals where I got nothing but no's because I was pitching them something. They could feel me just trying to get something for myself. And then literally a month worth of just giving people free consultations, free advice through email. I got 2 clients that were paying me over $1,000 a month. Okay, guys. So add value first without expecting anything in return. That's the third concept that started to get some money in there. The fourth concept is I didn't have any money, but I knew that I wanted to grow. And a lot of people ask the question of, hey, where should I invest? Should I invest in real estate? Should I invest in stocks? Should I buy some gold? Should I invest in crypto? And the thing that I always suggest people do, and this is what I did back in 2007, is invest in yourself and your personal growth first. Okay. Invest into mindset, into trainings that get your mindset right. Invest into time in meditation. Invest into the types of things that build our mindset up. Read the books of Science of Getting Rich. Read the books about the old greats of the mindset side of things. Okay, read those books. Invest time every single day into investing in yourself. Until you've done that and you've really grown the revenue, don't even think about investing money into anything else. Okay. So once I got over the $100,000 mark, then some money started to come in a little bit. So I wasn't making a lot of money, started to pay off that debt. But I would get stuck again. And the mindset shift I had to go through next was I had to really say, I need to master something. I'm kind of okay at a bunch of things. And I've learned how to create a basic product and a service, but now I need to get more people to see it. And so I went head first all into marketing. I said, I'm going to become a master at marketing. Here's the reason why. There was a guy named David Cross, and he was a consultant that a friend of ours that I was doing some work with hired. And David was a marketing expert at a big company called Agora. It's now a multi-billion-dollar company. It's the largest information marketing company in the world on the finance side of things. And at that time, Agora, I think, was $300-400 million a year, which is still giant. And David was one of their core strategists. So I got a chance to work side by side with this David guy who was hired from a friend of ours who had a business, and I was doing some work for them too. And David and I were sitting down and we were talking, and I'd already been interested in marketing, but I wouldn't say I was a master in it yet. And I asked David, I said, David, if I were to gain a skill, what would be the most important skill? He goes, man, if you can do marketing, if you can do copywriting, you'll be able to write your check. You'll be able to write your income in any industry you want to, because copywriting and marketing can transfer from business to business, from product to product. But the product that you're working hard on can't always transfer. And so I said, well, if I invest heavily in this one skill set that transfers to any job or business I'll ever do, this one skill may be one of the most valuable skills I could possibly invest into. Okay. So I dove in, became a master of marketing by every marketing course, dove in and learned how to do copywriting, went to events and learned copywriting. I looked at the best advertisements that were out there and I read them and I wrote them down on pieces of paper and I tried to understand, why do they work? I started making swipe files. I have a big swipe file across my office. I've got a big one in my email account. Even on my Instagram and my Facebook, any ads that I love, I save them into swipe files. I still do that today. So mastered marketing. Once I mastered marketing, my businesses started to grow. Okay. The next mindset then that popped up was I was a big time lone wolf. I was a rugged individual here, and in that phase, I think oftentimes it takes having rugged individualism to get to the first 100K. So you got to put your head down. You got to go. But then I found that as I crossed over the 100K mark and was starting to move towards 300K, I understood that community was massive. Okay, so the sixth concept here is build a community, create a community. And I created the first community here in that first industry. I kind of became the center of that industry. I was a nobody. But what I did is I found out that all the big people in this industry who were ballers and who were doing the work, they would get together and talk from time to time, but they didn't really there wasn't like a network that everyone connected in. And so I said, man, I wonder if I could like connect this person with this person, that person with that person. I could connect all of them with the information that would be valuable for everyone to know. I wonder if I could just start to build relationships with people. So I did. I created that group and I started inviting people to this group. It was just a Google group. And I started posting updates to the industry. Hey, this person's having a product launch. Hey, this person's looking for someone to hire. Hey, this person is doing X thing that's interesting. This person's having an event. Hey, there's a bunch of people getting together here. If anyone is interested, join it. And what happened was everyone started to see that group, that network as the central spot to go. So I put a toll gate in place where I'm like, in order to join this group, which became the de facto center of the industry, you got to talk to me first. I didn't charge for it at the first. Later, I ended up charging a couple $100 a year was all. And everyone had to talk to me first. And so I got to talk to people like Dean Graziosi, who his number's on my cell phone, or Robert Allen, or a lot of the big, huge people that we would know today, Russell Brunson, that I was a nobody, and they were introducing people like those people to me to enter into this community. I did the same thing here locally in Roseburg, Oregon. We created a local entrepreneur group, and I became the center of the entrepreneur community. And I've done it one other time as well, guys. If you can create community introduces you to so many amazing people and so many opportunities that it then skyrockets where you can go. And it's more fun too. Okay, so the seventh principle here. Now, once I crossed over the $300,000 mark and hit that next pain line, I started to understand. I'm like, man, okay, I'm making some good money. I'm making a decent income, but you know what? I'm not really jazzed about my work anymore. That initial thing that I was running away from, the prospect of getting a job, I was away from it now. I learned how to make some money. Okay. And it didn't feel like I was going to have to go back and get a job anytime soon. But what I didn't do is I didn't shift towards what was new. I didn't shift towards the new vision. And in that moment, as I was writing down and recognizing that this business that I wasn't enjoying anymore, I asked myself, what were the things that I disliked the most about this business and my previous business? And I did the opposite of those to create what I call my non-negotiables. And that's point number 8. That's mindset shift number 8, is unless we create non-negotiables in our business and in our lives, the business or the distractions around us, they will take us where they want us to go. Okay. And that's what that business was starting to do. That business was dictating my work hours. That business was dictating the types of projects I did. That business was dictating all types of things because I wasn't being intentional on what I wanted that business to do and what I wanted that business to not do. So I wrote 5 non-negotiables. Those 5 non-negotiables still today are the 5 non-negotiables I still use, leveraging, and running multiple, 8-figure companies here. So once I nailed those 5 non-negotiables, one of the things in there was to do things that are within my unique abilities. Okay. I learned a concept from Strategic Coach with a coach named Dan Sullivan on unique ability. And during that time, I was doing a lot of work that wasn't giving me energy. Okay. So I had done a couple things. I had number one, learned the concept of unique ability. But the way that I learned it was this. There's a question that they asked me. They said, what are the things that you love doing? You could be world class doing them. And they give you more energy when you're done doing them than when you started. Okay. So that concept shifted me forever because I was doing a bunch of work that made me money. Everyone was telling me I was good at it, but it was draining my energy. I was resenting my business. I was asking the question, is this entrepreneur dream even real? Right? Is everybody who's in the entrepreneur world faking it and just not enjoying their work like I had gotten to that point, or are there actually people doing it well? And I found that there were people doing it well, and they were the ones who focused on the things that gave them energy, that drove the business forward. They're the unique abilities. Okay, but focus on your unique abilities. Right after that, I really started to shift my mind and I said, okay, so while I've been optimizing for revenue, for money, and optimizing my schedule for productivity, maybe that's all completely wrong. Maybe that's all completely wrong. And maybe I need to shift it towards optimizing towards something else. What if it's this energy thing? And so I completely shifted towards optimizing for energy. And so that is point number, I think, like I said, maybe it's 9. I'm going to make it up right now, but it's 9. And in that moment, I said, I don't really care right now that I optimized for money. What if I made a bunch of money, but it was out of energy? I had a bunch of money in the bank, but no energy in the tank, right? I go, is that okay? Will I be okay with that? My answer was no. And so I said, well, the worst thing that can happen is if I optimize for energies, I love life, or maybe I'm not making the income that I'm wanting. Am I okay with that versus the alternative of making a high income and not living life? And I said, no, I'd much rather trade for the love and life, high energy, and a lower income. But I also said, you know what? But what if by focusing on my unique abilities and things that give me energy, what if that actually yielded a higher income? I'm going to take that bet. And when I did that using my process called the energy audit, you can grab that process at carrot.com/energy. Just grab the worksheet, y'all. It's free. You'll get it. And I've got a video there that teaches you how to use my energy audit as well. That completely changed my life. So optimize for energy. Okay. The next thing too is I'd always been a rugged individualist, a person who really just kind of took things and went. I put my head down and did the work. Around this time, the 300K to $1 million, I started to really discover that partnerships done right are amazing. Okay. So the right partnerships are a superpower. That was a major mindset shift I had to make because I grew up where my parents got burned by a partner and almost put them out of business. So I had grown through that mindset of you can't find good partners, can't trust people, things like that. But my most successful businesses always have had partners. So partnerships are a superpower. So be open to partnerships. Find that person that their unique abilities is complementary to yours. So you together, it's a superpower. Right. The next part to get over that from that 300K to $1 million, the next mindset shift was go wide at first, try a bunch of things, or as I call it, throw spaghetti in the wall to see what sticks. But then as soon as you find something that sticks, you pumpkin plant it down or you trim everything off ruthlessly to that one big idea, that one big pumpkin, and then you focus. Okay. Because what a lot of us do is either we focus way too narrow at the start, and that one thing doesn't work, and we get discouraged and we go back and go back to our job or go back to whatever it was. Okay. Or we do way too many things and we keep the way too many things on the plate. We never narrow down. Okay. So I read this book, The Pumpkin Plan, around that time, and we were probably doing somewhere around $400,000 or $500,000 a year. And I discovered I went way too wide, had too many things happening and going on. And so I said, what if I just focused on one big thing now? And that one big thing is what became Carrot. And I stayed ruthlessly focused, trimmed everything off, and that became way bigger, 5 to 10 times bigger than I ever thought it could be. Okay. So that right there is number 11. Go wide, try things at first, but then ruthlessly narrow down to the one big thing. So now crossed over $1 million mark, had the next pain lines hit. And what I had to learn and realize and shift into is I had to shift from a doer to a builder, to a builder, and then to a leader. Okay. Where what got us to $1 million is that we put our heads down and we did the work, right? We became a master. We became a star performer in a certain area. For me, it was a star performer in marketing. I got really, really good at marketing. I got really, really good at product. And part of that was the community I built as well. But when you start to build the company, and you're building teams and systems. If you're still doing all those things, everything slows down. And so I had to start to learn how to build systems, build processes, and start to build teams, and then start to shift into be a leader. So as you grow, you do have to shift your identity. You have to become someone new. All right, the next one here in the $1 million to $10 million mark, the big mindset shift was blank plus fellowship. This is probably around the $3 to $5 million mark. I was working hard up to that point. It took a lot of energy and effort to get to million, then get to three. And it was always this mindset of like, man, when this happens, then I'll finally kind of pull back and do these hobbies again. I went through a period of my life where I did a lot of hobbies, a lot of mountain bike riding and fishing and other things. And then it was probably a couple of years where those hobbies slipped away. And that's pretty common for entrepreneurs, especially as you're growing families, but it doesn't have to be okay. It doesn't have to be normal. I don't want to normalize that. I think it's just common because we don't know the right path to go on. And so what I started to do is I said, okay, well, there's my 6 F's: faith, family, fitness, friends, finances, and fun. What if I made them all better by adding fellowship? What if I intentionally made sure that I did these things with people that I enjoy to be around with, people that lift me up, people that motivate me, that inspire me? And I started to ruthlessly look at every part of my life in those 6 F's that wasn't that I wasn't doing as good as I wanted to do. And I said, I'm going to text 3 to 5 people this week to go invite them to do something in this area with me. And it started out with workouts. Now today we've got an amazing group of 5 of us to get together every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We've been doing it for years. There are 5 of us entrepreneurs. We lift each other up. Amazing people I love to be around. Doing the same things around faith, doing the same things around fun, doing the same things around all those other parts of my life. So blank plus fellowship. Business gets really lonely if we let it. So we have to intentionally put in relationships in there. Okay. Next thing, guys, is as the business was growing, I started to discover that the business was kind of more fueling, or I was fueling the business versus the business fueling me. And this would have been 2016, 2017. I remember it vividly. After some late nights of getting some work done, we were driving up in the Oregon mountains during the day over to my parents' house, and I fell asleep with my wife and my kids in the car. And it was in just this mountainous road that was kind of twisting and turning. And I remember one second I was awake, the next second I wasn't. And I fell asleep and I was heading straight towards the guardrail. And I woke up just in time to see the guardrail in front of me swerve, hit the guardrail, stop dead in my tracks in the middle of the highway. And I got out without saying anything to my wife. And I was like, babe, you got to drive. And I sat there and she said, what happened? I said, I fell asleep. I was up until 4 a.m. the night before, which was not abnormal, doing work because I wasn't delegating some of the right things, and I was fueling the business. Okay. So in that moment, I cold turkey gave up working on nights and weekends for the next 2 years. And I said, this business needs to fuel my life and my life vision. No longer can my life fuel this business. If it does that, I need to change the business. And I got back to my non-negotiables. Okay, guys, the business should fuel your life and your life's vision. Your life should not fuel the business. So the last 3 here are, as I stepped from doer to builder to leader, I realized I was just expecting everyone to kind of be able to be good at doing the things I hired them for. I expected everyone to just step into doing things the way that I was, or thinking the way that I was. And if you do that, you'll get disappointed oftentimes. Many times you get insanely surprised as well. But a coach of mine, Dan Martell, he would always have this saying, this concept that I heard him start to say around 2019, 2020 of build the people will build the business. And so really focusing on that mindset. Now, it's something I want to still do way better. And it's an aim of mine as I move forward in this next year. That's one of my goals, is to really intentionally build the people of our company so we can move past the current pain lines into the next phase. But build the people will build the business. Make your people better, and don't just expect them to jump on top and be able to do things amazingly well or the way that you want them to be done. Really focus on building them and helping them grow. So the last 2 here kind of piggybacks on the build the people one. Is I stepped into that mindset of awesome. Let me hire people that I can coach and that I can grow, and that works up to $1 million, maybe even up to 3 million. And as a founder, we might think that that's great because we got a quote unquote deal, right? It's like, man, I want to find a great person that I can get at a good value, because that helps us make sure that we're staying profitable and we're doing those things. We're not overspending in the business, which really increases risk and it can increase stress too. The challenge is, Once you cross over the $5 million mark and you get up close to 10 or go over 10, that mindset is actually the very thing that can stop you. That mindset's the very thing that can hold you back. We need to start hiring people better than ourselves in the key areas that we want to delegate. No longer can we hire people that we want to train up. We need to hire people that are coming into those roles literally with the skill sets to grow, because they should be far better at that job than you are. Okay. So hire people better than you versus people that you can train up and that are a quote unquote deal. I can tell you that many times where I hired someone that maybe cost me $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a year less than hiring the baller, that $20,000 or $40,000 a year savings probably cost me cumulatively well in the seven figures in lost revenue because I hired the wrong person. Last one here. This is kind of more recently in the last 2 years, is my business started to become my identity the last 4 to 5 years. Okay. Where Carrot was me, I am Carrot. And when I had an opportunity to sell the company back in 2021, and I didn't step into it, there are many reasons why I didn't sell the company. But one of them was I didn't know who I would be after I sold the company, because I was Carrot, Carrot was me. When I was going into rooms, whether it was at a church function or whatever, I sometimes didn't know who to be if I wasn't the business guy. I didn't know who to be if I wasn't Carrot. All right. And so this is probably about a year and a half ago. I had to wrestle with it. I had to say, I need to decouple my identity from this business. I can no longer be Carrot. Carrot can no longer be me. It's an important part of my life, but I need to have a vision where Carrot is just a part of helping me reach that vision and make that impact on the world, but it is not me. And so this last year, I've been working really hard on decoupling that and really figuring out and getting clear on who am I, where am I going, and what's that, and where is each company that I am a part of going to be a part of that. Right, guys. So there's the mindset shifts that I had to go through, from negative $16,000 in debt up to $40 million plus in net worth. And hopefully those mindset shifts are relevant to you. Hopefully you found one or two. You're like, oh my gosh, that's the phase I'm in. That's what I'm going to step into. If you enjoyed this episode, or if you have a question, pop in the comments box here on YouTube. What mindset shift is the biggest one for you that hit the light bulb for you? Okay. Or if you're listening to this in the podcast, hit me up on Instagram or go find us on YouTube and DM me, Trevor.Mauch. That's Mauch. Guys, what's your biggest mindset shift from this episode? And what topics would you love to hear about on a future YouTube video or episode here of Entrepreneur Freedom Formula? Okay, guys, like, subscribe, share this puppy up, and let me know where you in your journey and what is your current biggest mindset shift that you've had in the last 12 months. We'll talk soon.